8 years. That's how long I'd given to Luminex marketing. 8 years of glowing screens at 1 a.m., of client calls that started with just one more revision. I didn't expect fireworks, but I did expect something when my work anniversary rolled around. Maybe a small celebration, a handwritten note, something that said, "We see you." The package arrived on a Friday morning. Plain brown box, no company logo, no ribbon, just a shipping label slapped on the side. I figured maybe it was an office supply order I forgot I placed. But when I saw my name, spelled correctly for once, my heart actually jumped. I thought, finally, maybe they'd noticed after all. I set the box on my kitchen counter that night, next to my laptop and the half-eaten takeout that had become dinner. I cut the tape, peeled back the cardboard, and froze. Inside sat a bottle of wine, cheap-looking, with a faded label that looked printed on a home inkjet. A "Congratulations on 8 years" card was taped to the neck, printed in Comic Sans, for God's sake, the kind of thing you'd find in a discount gift basket at a pharmacy. The card wasn't even signed, just, "Thank you for your dedication. Luminex appreciates your service. Management." The word management hit harder than I expected. No names, no warmth, just corporate template empathy. The bottle's cork was chipped, and the back label had a clearance sticker half torn off. $9.99. $9.99. 8 years and I wasn't worth $10? I laughed, but it came out wrong, more like a choke. I sat there staring at the bottle until the clock hit midnight, the glow of my laptop fading to sleep mode, while the cheap wine just sat there, like a mirror reflecting back 8 years of swallowed pride. This wasn't about the wine, it was about the math. 8 years, $10, 1,000 deadlines, one bottle. I checked the sender on the shipping slip. Lux Gifts, LLC. I knew that name. We used that vendor for client baskets. The executive-level orders started at $200 each. I'd processed invoices for those. I'd seen my manager, Hannah, approve them without blinking. So why did my recognition come from the bargain bin? I opened my company laptop, logged into the procurement portal, and started digging. The same vendor, Lux Gifts, showed multiple invoices under employee recognition, totaling over $12,000 for the year, and there on the line items were premium wine gift sets. The SKU didn't match mine. Mine was a clearance bottle of Valley Vine Classic Red. The invoice SKU matched Silver Oak Reserve, a $180 bottle. My breath went cold. Someone had billed premium and delivered cheap, and someone had pocketed the difference. I knew exactly who had approved those invoices. Hannah, my manager, with her immaculate blazers and her fake laugh that sounded like a ringtone. She was the queen of "budget is tight" and "maybe next quarter." The same Hannah who once made me split a $15 lunch bill at a client offsite because team policy. I leaned back in my chair, wine bottle still sitting in front of me. The air felt heavier. I remembered all the times she'd taken credit for my campaign ideas, all the "we couldn't have done it without our team" speeches that somehow ended with her name on the award. I used to think maybe she didn't mean harm, that it was just how the game worked. But looking at that crooked label, I knew better. It wasn't ignorance, it was a pattern. And maybe finally it was time to break it. The company was holding a quarterly all-hands meeting on Monday, streamed from HQ with our CEO, the senior VPs, everyone. Usually I tuned out. This time I didn't plan to. The invite said, "Celebrating our culture of appreciation." I laughed again, sharper this time. On Monday morning, I dressed like I meant business. Navy blazer, black jeans, boots. Nothing flashy, but confident. The bottle went into my tote bag, still in its box. I took the early train to the downtown office, the one we were all supposed to go to for morale. I sat by the window, city lights smearing across the glass, my reflection half faded, but calm. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't even angry anymore. I was steady. The CEO started his speech like he always did, about innovation, gratitude, teamwork, words that sounded nice and meant nothing. When the Q&A opened, I raised my hand. The moderator looked surprised. I'd never spoken in these before. The mic reached me. My voice didn't shake. "I've been with Luminex 8 years. Last week, I received this as a recognition gift from management." Every head turned as I walked to the front and placed the box on the table beside the CEO. No speech, no theatrics. just the truth sitting there in corrugated cardboard. He blinked, glanced at the label, then at me. Is this from our vendor? Yes, I said. You might want to check what they billed you for it. The room went quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence that hums louder than sound. The CEO nodded, slowly. Thank you for bringing this forward. And that was it. I walked back to my seat, heart steady, the silence stretching behind me like a fuse waiting for a spark. Because what they didn't know was that the spark had already been lit, and I was done being the quiet one.
The following morning, the office smelled like toner and burnt coffee, the scent of another Monday no one asked for. People were quieter than usual. Conversations stalled when I walked by. I could feel the stares, the half-whispered "that's her," echoing like static. News traveled fast at Luminex, faster than policy updates. By noon, my inbox had a new calendar invite. Location, 9th floor conference room B. No sender, just a sterile meeting drop that smelled like trouble. At 2:25, I walked in. The air conditioner hummed too loud, the blinds were half closed, and a pitcher of untouched water sat on the table. Hannah was already there, smiling too wide, her pearl earrings catching the fluorescent light. Beside her sat a man from finance I vaguely knew and a woman I didn't, gray suit, neat folder, the calmness of someone who took notes for a living. "Hey, Allie," said Hannah, her voice sugar slick. "Thanks for coming in. We just want to clear up a little misunderstanding." I took the seat across from her. "Sure," I said. "Which misunderstanding?" Hannah's smile tightened. "The one about your anniversary gift. There's been a bit of chatter. We just want to make sure we're all on the same page." I folded my hands on the table. "Okay." The woman in the gray suit spoke next, flipping open her folder. "I'm Dana from compliance. We're doing a quick review of employee recognition purchases, just standard procedure after yesterday's meeting. Nothing formal yet." Her tone was neutral, but her eyes weren't. She'd seen this before. Dana slid a paper across the table, a printed invoice. I recognized the header immediately. Lux Gifts LLC. This invoice, she tapped the line, lists an executive wine gift set for $180. "You received this bottle?" I nodded. "That's the one." She turned to Hannah. "And you approve this purchase?" Hannah laughed just slightly, that performative laugh managers use when they're pretending something is beneath them. "Yes, but I mean, vendors make substitutions all the time. We can't control what they send. It's not like I packaged it myself." Dana didn't smile. "We'll confirm that." I said nothing. I didn't need to. I'd brought my own folder, the shipping slip, the SKU, the price sticker. I'd peeled off the back label. When I slid them across the table, Hannah's chow flickered just for a second. Dana scanned the documents, lips pressed in a thin line. "Thank you," she said to me, tone professional, but with an edge of approval she didn't try to hide. Hannah shifted in her seat. "Look, this is getting blown way out of proportion. We've been using Lux Gifts for years, and billing premium while delivering clearance stock." I interrupted, calm, even, like I'd practiced it in my head 100 times. The finance guy coughed, hiding a smirk behind his hand. Dana closed her folder. "We'll review the past 12 months of invoices and follow up. Thank you both." Hannah's eyes shot daggers at me the second Dana stood. The moment the door closed behind the others, her tone dropped like a knife. "You think you're clever?" she hissed. "You embarrassed the entire department yesterday. You could have come to me privately." I met her stare. 8 years, Hannah. You had plenty of time to come to me privately." She blinked, nostrils flaring. "You're making enemies in places you can't afford to have. Then I guess I'll stop paying for them." She grabbed her pen like she might stab at the air with it, then stopped herself. "Watch yourself, Allie. I'm serious." I stood, gathering my things. So am I. That night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes I saw her face, that tight-lipped fury of someone used to control suddenly realizing she didn't have it. My phone buzzed with Slack messages, coworkers I barely spoke to. "Holy crap, did you really hand that bottle to the CEO? You're a legend. Be careful. Hannah's losing it." The last one came from Leo, a finance analyst I worked with before. Then another. "Check your email filters. She's digging." I opened my work inbox, dozens of audit requests from Hannah, all flagged as urgent, all unnecessary. She was retaliating in the only way she knew, paperwork warfare. The next morning, I arrived early. The office felt different, quieter, tense. People avoided eye contact. I could feel the ripples. Then around 10 a.m., a message pinged from compliance. "Please join us for a private session tomorrow. Do not discuss this meeting." No signature, no sender, just the words, "Do not discuss." I stared at the screen, heart pounding slow and steady. I wasn't just part of a misunderstanding anymore. I was a witness. And Hannah? She was running out of room to hide. The next morning, the city looked washed out. Gray sky, drizzle streaking the windows of the train, as if the whole world had smudged. My reflection in the glass didn't look like me anymore. Same hair, same blazer, same tired eyes. But something had changed. Something quieter, sharper. By the time I reached the office, the Whisper network had already evolved into mythology. People didn't just say Allison anymore. They said, "the girl with the bottle." I walked past the break room. Conversation stopped. A couple of marketing analysts looked up, then down again like they'd seen a ghost. The irony wasn't lost on me. 8 years invisible, and now they couldn't stop watching. My calendar pinged. Compliance follow-up. 11 a.m., room 10C. When I walked in, Dana from compliance was already there with a laptop open and a second man beside her. Older, clean-shaven, the kind of person who made eye contact for exactly 2 seconds too long. His badge read Internal Audit, Corporate Oversight. This wasn't a chat anymore. "Morning, Allie," Dana said, gesturing toward a chair. "We appreciate you coming in again. I promise we'll be respectful of your time." "Take all the time you need," I said, sitting down. The man introduced himself as Mark Jensen, head of internal audit for the region. His tone was smooth but careful, the kind people use when they're aware a recording might exist. He opened with the usual politities, then leaned forward. "I'll get straight to it. We found discrepancies. Quite a few. Lux Gifts billed the company over $30,000 last fiscal year for employee recognition packages. Based on shipping records, the actual value delivered was less than half that. We're tracing the approval trail. Your manager's name appears on every invoice." Dana added, "We also found some of those invoices routed through a secondary vendor, Arbor Solutions, Inc. You familiar with that name?" I frowned. "No. Should I be?" "It's registered to the same address as Lux Gifts, and both list a regional liaison, a Michelle M., who, according to HR records, is Hannah's sister." For a second, I forgot to breathe. She wasn't just cutting corners, she'd built an entire pipeline to funnel fake recognition funds into her family's shell companies. Mark clicked through a few slides on his laptop, scanned invoices, digital signatures, purchase orders, all of them tied back to Hannah's login. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked, finally. "Because," Mark said, closing the laptop, "you're listed as a primary witness. You're the only employee who came forward, even unintentionally. If this goes formal, and it will, you'll need to be prepared for pushback." Pushback, corporate word for retaliation. When I got back to my desk, Hannah was there, leaning against it like a movie villain who didn't realize the third act had already started. "Busy morning?" she asked, her tone breezy, dangerous. "Always." She smiled, the kind that never touched her eyes. "You know, it's funny. You used to be such a team player. Always supportive, cooperative. Now I hear you're spending a lot of time in meetings with departments that don't concern you." I tilted my head. "They seem to concern you, though." Her jaw tightened. "Watch yourself, Allie. I can make your life very uncomfortable. I can make sure your name never lands on another reference list in this industry." There it was, the threat. Not loud, not dramatic, just venom delivered in a whisper. I stared at her, calm. "You should be more careful about saying things like that, Hannah. Offices have cameras now." The way her face froze told me I'd hit home. That night, I started my own audit. I pulled every file, every email, every Slack thread she'd ever sent that smelled off. I built folders, timestamps, cross-references. I didn't plan revenge. I built evidence. Every time she approved a bogus invoice, every time she flagged budget cuts as a reason to deny bonuses, every time she forwarded my campaign concepts to senior leadership without my name attached. I'd saved it all, not because I meant to, but because after years of cleaning up her messes, I'd learned to keep receipts. By midnight, my desktop was a constellation of folders: Winegate, invoices misuse, retaliation, notes, and the last one, insurance, my favorite. Inside, screenshots, Slack messages, and one extra interesting PDF, a financial summary where Arbor Solutions was listed as a preferred vendor with Hannah's e-signature, authorizing the contract. I uploaded the entire archive to a secure cloud link, off company servers, and sent a single encrypted file to Dana. Subject, "For the record." No explanation, no context, just that. The next day, Hannah avoided me. Her door stayed closed, her usual morning Teams sync mysteriously disappeared from the calendar. By noon, whispers spread. Finance had frozen 2 vendor accounts pending review. At 3 p.m., Hannah finally emerged, her face pale, phone clutched tight like a lifeline. She walked past my desk without a word, straight into HR. The glass door swung shut behind her. When she came out half an hour later, she didn't look angry anymore. She looked scared. That night, as I shut down my laptop, a new email pinged. From complianceconfidential@luminex.com. Subject, follow-up interview, whistleblower status. I stared at it for a long time. I hadn't called myself that word before, but it fit.
And somewhere deep down I knew this was no longer about a $9.99 bottle of wine. This was about the years she stole from all of us and thought no one would ever notice. She'd spent years mastering control. Now, I was holding the receipts, and she was standing on a very dry fuse.
By Thursday morning, the office felt like a stage play where everyone suddenly forgot their lines. HR walked faster than usual, finance whispered in corners, and my team avoided my eyes like I'd caught something contagious. When I logged into my email, a new message blinked at the top of my inbox. Subject: Performance Review Adjustment. Immediate action required. From HR on behalf of Hannah M. My stomach didn't even drop. I'd expected this. Retaliation never comes like thunder. It comes disguised as policy. I opened the attachment, a 3-page performance improvement plan. The same boilerplate jargon: needs to demonstrate stronger alignment with leadership tone, must exhibit consistent collaboration, requires improvement in communication style. Not a single line about actual performance. No mention of missed targets, no quality issues, just personality fiction wrapped in HR legalese. And at the bottom, in bold, employee signature required within 48 hours. I almost laughed. Hannah really thought she was writing the ending. At 10 a.m., she summoned me to her office. The blinds were half drawn, her desk spotless, a performance space, not a workspace. She didn't offer me a seat. I took one anyway. "Allie," she started, that corporate empathy tone cranked to 11. "This isn't punitive. It's developmental. We just want to ensure you're in alignment with company values after disruptions." "Disruptions?" I asked. "You know, yesterday's audit meetings, some tension in the department, morale issues." "You mean accountability?" She blinked, that telltale flicker when someone rehearsed every line, but forgot the script might change. "Let's not get defensive. This is just an opportunity for growth." I looked her dead in the eye. "Is that what you called it when you billed fake invoices under your sister's LLC?" The air thinned. Her mouth opened, then closed again. For a full 3 seconds, she looked human, startled, pale, cornered. Then her face reset. A reboot. "You should be very careful what you say." "I am," I said softly. "I document everything." I stood, left the unsigned papers on her desk, and walked out. Back at my cubicle, I opened my encrypted folder and dropped in a new file. At noon, I submitted it through the Whistleblower portal, attaching a time-stamped screenshot of her email and a short note. Pattern of retaliation initiated post-report. Recommend escalation beyond departmental chain. 15 minutes later, I received a new meeting invite. This was moving faster now. That evening, Leo from finance texted me. "Heads up, Hannah's sister's company is under review. The CFO pulled all vendor files tied to Arbor Solutions. Also, the CEO's office just requested your recognition box from facilities. They have it in evidence now." Evidence. That word landed differently. Not dramatic, just inevitable. Friday morning, I sat across from corporate counsel, a man named Roger with the poker face in perfect posture. He recorded the meeting. Dana was there too. Roger opened his folder. "We appreciate your cooperation, Ms. Turner. I'll be direct. The vendor audit uncovered substantial discrepancies, roughly $42,000 in overbilling over 2 fiscal years. The chain of approvals leads to your manager. We also reviewed your PIP and found it inconsistent with prior performance records. Do you believe it was issued in retaliation?" "I don't believe," I said. "I know." Roger nodded once. "We'll handle it internally. Effective immediately, you're being reassigned under a different manager. Do not engage with Hannah until further notice." I nodded. Calm. quiet. When I returned to my desk, Hannah's door was closed. Through the frosted glass, I could see her pacing, phone pressed to her ear, hand trembling. I didn't need to hear the words. I'd heard enough versions of them before. Fix it, spin it, deny it. By afternoon, rumors spread faster than the coffee pot refilled. Compliance had confiscated Hannah's laptop. IT froze her access. Her calendar went blank. And by 4 p.m., she was gone. No goodbye, no explanation, just an empty office that smelt faintly of lavender hand sanitizer and desperation. That evening, as I packed my things, my Slack pinged again. Leo said, "You started an earthquake." I replied, "Good. Maybe something worth rebuilding comes after." But the story wasn't over. Not yet. The next week, HR tried to play cleanup. Mandatory team meetings about integrity culture, corporate emails about transparency initiatives. But the real conversations happened in the hallway, whispered between cubicles. A designer whose bonus had vanished last year. A data analyst whose recognition package never arrived. A senior copywriter who said Hannah had threatened to blacklist her for speaking up. Each story matched the pattern. Each one fed the bigger picture. So I started documenting those too. Anonymous notes, timelines, consistency charts. I wasn't doing it out of spite anymore. I was doing it because someone had to leave breadcrumbs for whoever came after. One night, around 10 p.m., my phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. Unknown? You don't know who you're messing with. Stop digging. No name, no context, just that. I stared at the screen for a long time, then screenshotted it, saved it in my folder, and went back to work. Fear wasn't an option anymore. Not after 8 years of being small, polite, invisible. They had tried to bury me under bureaucracy. Instead, I learned how to grow through concrete. And by the time the board got the full audit report, by the time the CEO saw the real numbers, I'd already written the final draft of the story Hannah tried to control. Because the thing about corporate fires is, they never start with explosions. They start with sparks. And the bottle was only the first one.
3 weeks after Hannah disappeared, the company calendar announced an all-staff emergency meeting. No agenda, no prep, just that ominous phrase glowing at the top of every inbox. By 10 a.m., the main conference room was full. The kind of full where people didn't talk, they waited. Even the chatterers were quiet. The air smelled like tension and burnt espresso. The screen at the front flickered with the Luminex logo, corporate blue, sterile as ever. Then the CEO walked in. Not his usual smooth, rehearsed walk, but slower, heavier. He didn't start with jokes or buzzwords. He just looked at us. "I owe you an apology," he said. The silence was total. Even the HVAC seemed to pause. "We discovered," he continued, "significant irregularities in our employee recognition and vendor management programs. Those responsible have been removed from the company. A full internal audit confirmed misuse of funds exceeding $40,000 across 2 fiscal years. Every affected employee will be reimbursed for missed bonuses and underdelivered awards." He didn't say Hannah's name, but he didn't have to. Everyone knew. The murmurs started slow. Shock, disbelief, the occasional bitter laugh. I sat in the back, hands folded, heart steady. It wasn't triumph, I felt. It was something cleaner, relief maybe. The CEO went on. "We're implementing a new transparency protocol. No more shell vendors, no unverified approvals. From now on, every recognition expense will be publicly logged. Accountability starts today." He looked out at the crowd. For a brief second, our eyes met.
I wondered if he knew how it had started. A $9.99 bottle of wine with a crooked label. After the meeting, people stopped me in the hallway. Handshakes, half-whispered thank yous, quiet smiles. Some were the same people who had avoided me weeks ago. I didn't hold it against them. Fear makes cowards out of most, and I'd been one for years before I learned to stand still. By noon, Hannah's office had been emptied. The blinds open now, her desk bare except for a single stapler left behind. It looked smaller without her ego in it. Later that day, I was summoned to the 15th floor. The CEO's assistant, the same one who had accepted my box weeks earlier, greeted me with a small, knowing smile. "She wants to see you," she said. The CEO's office was everything you'd expect: glass walls, a skyline view, carpet soft enough to swallow noise. He gestured for me to sit. "I read your statement," he said, no small talk, "and I reviewed the documentation you submitted to compliance. You could have gone public with this. You didn't. You trusted the process, and it worked. Thank you." He slid a folder across the desk. Inside, an offer letter. Promoted to senior marketing strategist. Salary bump. Retroactive pay. Bonus. It should have thrilled me. It didn't. "I appreciate it, but I'm not sure I'll be staying." His eyebrows lifted. "You're leaving?" "Eventually," I said, "after I make sure the team gets what they're owed." He nodded slowly. "Understood." When I left his office, the view from the elevator glass caught my reflection. Calm, composed, not bitter, not glowing. Just free. Over the next few weeks, I helped roll out the new vendor policy. I made sure every delayed recognition, every missed bonus hit the right accounts. People began to smile again. The office felt lighter, like we'd collectively exhaled after years of pretending not to notice the cracks. And then, when the dust truly settled, I turned in my resignation. No farewell party, no speech, just a polite email and a quiet walk through the lobby that had once felt like a cage. But before I left, I stopped by the mailroom. I'd been saving something for this moment. A small package, addressed to the CEO. Inside, a bottle of Silver Oak Reserve, the same wine Hannah had billed on her fake invoices but never delivered. Real label, real cork, no clearance sticker. Attached to the neck was a note, handwritten this time. "For those who actually earned it. AT." I sealed it, handed it to the clerk, and stepped outside into the late afternoon sun. The city felt different, louder, alive, honest. As I walked toward the train, I realized something that made me smile. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just exhales. 8 years of silence traded for one clear voice. And it only cost them a bottle of cheap wine.